What's up? What's up? This is sylabdul here for the State of the Fandom. State of the Fandom. It's about the Snyder fandom. It's about the latest news with it. Topics we want to talk about. The director's cuts are here. Rebel Moon. Director's cuts are here. We got some viewership numbers that we're gonna talk about today as well. So it's gonna be an interesting stream today, and other news of other projects that Zack Snyder is doing. Much love to everybody in the chat. Much love to Syl Nation. As soon as I get my screen together, I'm gonna shout y'all out appropriately. But we're gonna get this together. Ain't been that long since I did a live stream, right? I see Amari, what's good? Music City Soul, what's good? Yovic, Carlos, come on! I know this is early. I know this is early. I'm gonna give y'all a minute. I'm gonna give y'all a minute to come on in here. That's what I'm gonna do. That's gonna give me a chance to get my screen together. I'm gonna blame y'all. Come on in here. Let's see. Let's get this together. Amazing times that we're in. Where Zack Snyder dropped 6 hours of content on the top of our heads, on our foreheads, as they say, at one time. Shout out to those who supported the watch party. Since that watch party, a lot of people have been requesting I do more watch parties. Definitely when there's stuff that's pertinent to what we want to see, for sure. Then I have my stuff on my second channel that I do that, that's a whole nother story over there. But this is going to be a very interesting stream today. I see. Marco, what's good? We got Ty, Sickness, Syl Nation West tapping in. What's good? Hey, I heard Sickness be holding down the West. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I heard Sickness. Our Sickness holds down the West. I mean, I just go off what I hear, y'all. If you know, you know. Our Sickness got the West on lock. That's all right. I'm just happy he's rocking with Syl Nation. Let's see, Cape Crusader watch party. See, so Cape Crusader, what was wild with that? It's like I didn't know what time Amazon drops his stuff, so it totally messed up my plans for the watch party for Cape Crusader. But we're gonna do more. We're gonna do more right there. Seth, what's good? Carlos holding out for Florida. Hey, we got the 4 quadrants. You know what I'm saying? Of the states. So again, like I said, a few cool things we're gonna touch on today. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that Robin tweet. For sure. And the latest comments Zack Snyder has been giving us. He's been giving us a lot of stuff. So, let's see. Act like I forgot how to do this now. My goodness, it's really been that long. Real quick, my commercials. Join the Patreon, link in the description for expanded coverage and exclusives. I'm doing a recap of my San Diego Comic-Con experience. I also have a nice little San Diego Comic-Con video I'm going to drop on the channel, hopefully tomorrow. I'm all in catch-up mode, since last week. So, but definitely Patrons, that's where you get more of my Marvel coverage. If there's some Star Wars stuff, whatever, it's kind of outside of my normal conversation. Now, if it's big stuff, it's always over here, like RDJ. But then some of the extra stuff I do put on the Patreon because YouTube doesn't like me doing anything outside my norm. And so definitely links in the description for that. And I'm having a lot of fun over there with the Patrons. Member direct videos, all levels. We got, again, a bunch of updates to catch up on after this weekend. After Deadpool Wolverine, we did our Scoop Center last month. And we hit on some of the Deadpool Wolverine scoops. I had to fire one source after that, though. Like, it was 4 out of 5. I need perfect records. You can't mess it up. But a lot of fun with that with level 2 and above Scoop Center. That's a monthly thing. And then once we have confirmations, we give it to all the members. That's how we do it. With that, so directly support the platform via any form of payments with the Stream Elements link. I don't think it's pinned in the line comments, is it? It's in the description though. Super chats for the live crew. Super thanks for the replay crew. Much appreciated. Patreon's going nuts. Yeah. So let's get into it. We got a few topics to touch on, so we don't want to waste too much time. We are live, obviously, on the YouTube channel, sylabdul podcast channel. Shout out to those who supported my latest in the interview series with Paul from Heavy Spoilers. Cool guy, right? If y'all saw the video, he had a lot of cool things to say about DC and just geek culture, entertainment overall. And we've been working on trying to get that together for a while, so I appreciate the response to it. And it's going to be more. We're going to definitely do more in the future. He's a busy guy, somehow busier than me. I'm just too busy at times, but he's more busy than me. So we was working on several months to get him on here. And we had a blast, man. We had a blast. We chatted up before and after the stream, and definitely look forward to him, chiming in the future. He's a super Zack Snyder fan. He was kind of downplaying it in the stream, in the video. Paul's a huge SnyderVerse fan, but he has to cover all angles. So I know why he approaches it like that. But good stuff. Let's see. What we got here? Let's jump over to our first thing I want to touch on as we get started. But yeah, we're live, like I said, on the YouTube channel, sylabdul podcast. We're live on X, Twitter as well. Shout out to those over there on Twitter. And we're live on Facebook as well. My main Facebook page and the Geek Network Facebook page as well. Over on YouTube, smash the like, subscribe if you're not. Hey, these streams may get a little earlier when I kind of pop up. Most people are used to my time I go live on Wednesday. That's still going to happen tomorrow. But just make sure those notifications are on. So when we pop up and pop off, all right? And then on X Twitter, you can support the platform by, first off, liking the post if you're watching this on Twitter and giving it a repost if you want to share my face on your timeline. Shout out to the Batman. Shout out to Penny. We got night views coming. We got sports shows expanding. Tonight's going to be a huge expansion. Not a huge, but I got to talk to Carlos about that. But we were expanding topics on night views, and I'm really looking forward to that evolution of Still Nation Sports. We've relaunched it thanks to, again, the help of Carlos and others behind the scenes with some stuff. And looking forward to this next chapter of this overall, for sure. Now, before we get started, let me hit y'all with one thing. First, someone's talking about Deadpool Wolverine in the chat, and we got to pull back. We got to pull up a classic here, a little throwback scoop classic from the late, great Mikey Sutton when he told y'all last July. I mean, I stopped being amazed. I just accepted that Mikey was on just a different plane of life from all of us. The type of scoops that he got. Like my stuff, as y'all noticed, like my stuff was like more immediate stuff, like production type scoops. And then I get long-term stuff as well. But Mikey was on a whole nother level, dropping this. I remember when he brought this to my channel last summer. And I was like, you sure about this? Like, Wesley Snipes and Deadpool 3? Like, now Mikey was the first one to scoop Wolverine coming back for this film as well, too. That was in 2022 when he scooped that. And he said the concept of the film, like a buddy cop type thing as well. So very gratifying seeing this Wesley Snipes thing hold up as well. Yeah, for sure. Mikey was from the future and beyond, as I say. Mikey was right for sure. So definitely want to allow Mikey a moment to hold that W. Another one as well. So very, very cool. The whole world seeing this film now. They gotta all kind of admit at the same time that Mikey was right. All right. So as far as a little fandom news here, if you're on Twitter, there was a huge push yesterday for release the AyerCut. AyerCut, that's kind of like a, it's part of the Snyder fandom. That's the best way I could put it. The AyerCut, when Zack announced his Snyder Cut coming out, immediately we looked to the AyerCut. As far as that's like you're next up. You know what I'm saying? So good turnout there. Let's see. Wolverine in the chat says intention Deadpool 3 may have been to say goodbye. All I did was give fans wanting more. Yeah, Wolverine. What I've learned, in the about 3 years, I've been kind of, as far as I guess me having sources for the last 3 years. My first year, I was just a fanboy. I learned things change, and as Mikey say, you always follow the money. Money is saying everyone loved Wesley Snipes, and I'll just say, everyone loves Deadpool as well. Of course, Wolverine. Everyone loves Hugh Jackman as well. So, following the money, I'm sure we'll see them all again. And if Marvel's smart, they'll do it before Secret Wars, right? So, yeah, sometimes just things change. Release the AyerCut was the call over 30,000 tweets for the SnyderVerse. First off, just the fandom overall. Y'all know the accounts that's pushing SnyderVerse related content daily, right? Make the Batfleck movie account, Sammy Snyder Queen, Cut Ayer, the official AyerCut account as well. Too, everyone played such a big part yesterday, and then David Ayer himself came in flexing, showing us pictures we've never seen before and footage and things like that, and it really spurred on the momentum. So it really was cool because if we remember a few months back, Ayer was kind of like, I'm kind of getting too old for this, and we thought he gave up. I thought he gave up, but it was really cool to see him back involved. And I think it's because of those accounts I mentioned, among others, among just all the fandom. The fandom didn't give up on Ayer. Yeah, we would love. Yeah, if I'm gonna be candid here, I would love for David Ayer to approach this like Zack Snyder did, and be motivated and kind of just give us nuggets to keep us going. But Ayer's built differently, and he doesn't want to step on too many toes, respectfully so. But it was good to see him again flex it again yesterday, and a very successful day of trending for the AyerCut. And you got to think, if Ayer at one point was saying like, I'm kind of tired of the politics of this, then he's like reinvigorated. Hey, maybe it's a chance for this. Now, I got to remind people, James Gunn spoke on the AyerCut a while ago, right? And also, according to, I'll just say some other accounts, we kind of have an idea if and when Gunn wants to release this, or if he wants to push DC to release this, when Gunn would try to do it. It basically would be after Gunn gets his Superman film out, establishes his world, and then it'll be around the time, just the latest I heard, the possibility of the AyerCut. I'll just kind of tell the audience here. Gunn, like, just according to what I heard, Gunn likes the idea of an Elseworlds. I just want to put that out there. Gunn actually likes the idea of DC Elseworlds. It's just Gunn wants to eat first. Now you can say that's, pride. You can, however you feel about him, that's, that's fine. Like I had my own run-ins with Gunn. So like, I may feel some type of way as well, but I'm just talking about just DC as a brand. Like Gunn jumped into my timeline. People forget that. Like, it's like, you don't think I was irritated by that? But but the point is, it's likely the AyerCut. If Gunn's going to do it, it'll probably be around the time. It'll probably be around the time Matt Reeves' The Batman comes out or something, like, because he looks at Battison as a nice change up from what he wants his DCU to be. That's how Gunn sees it. And that would be a good time as well to release the AyerCut as well. But so we're talking about 2026. But if Gunn is smart, he should have. You should have just gone ahead and gave us the AyerCut now to tide us over. If you were punting the ball on 2023, and then what 2024 was just Penguin. As far as with DC, a couple animated projects, My Adventures with Superman, the Cape Crusader. Sorry for the hiccup. Cape Crusader. And so it's like what? Why not bring out the AyerCut to tide us over till then? But that is what it is. That's what. So we're on the lookout after this recent push and the fact that Ayer is back active. Maybe we'll get it before. Maybe we'll get it before 2026. We already know Will Smith wants it. Jared Leto wants it. Margot Robbie just wants a bigger check. Margot Robbie is just like, I want some producer points or something off of this. So it is going to involve, like a re-release type situation, and maybe some people has to get a bigger piece of the pie or something. That's the business of it, right? That's the business of it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that overall. But as far as the AyerCut, hey, there's no reason to stop. No reason to stop asking for it. However it can come out. So let's get into, let's see. We're talking about Rebel Moon Director's Cuts. Much love to the Facebook love we're getting over there. Appreciate y'all. X Twitter as well. And YouTube. With the release of the director's cuts, like I said, I had the epic watch party. It was a blast, but yeah, it was late as hell. But we do that for Zach. I did that for the PG part 2. We did it for director's cut part 1. I may do a part 2 because someone asked the other day. I only did part 1 the other night. I'll probably do a part 2 probably this weekend. Again, it'll be a public watch party. Put your copies on, sync it up, and let's watch it. And we'll kind of give our commentary on that. It was just some cool things that stood out to us. But y'all know on my platform, we look at the numbers and we want to know, just, is it successful? What's going on? And a lot of people have been critical of Netflix, how they rolled out these Rebel Moon cuts. Now we have a case in point, probably why, I like the initial cuts. I think they're very watchable still for me. And because there's some events that happens in part 1, there's some events that happened in part 2, the PG cut, and it was moved to part 1. I'm gonna have a long comparison stuff coming. There's gonna be a lot of content with that, but as So it is a different story. Like Zach was not playing with y'all when he said alternate universe. It is a different story. Like it's different things that happen, and not just extra scenes. Events play out differently, between the director's cuts and regular PG. But there's some that was like, the quality of the PG cut, maybe they didn't like that, or it didn't hit enough. I'm of the opinion Netflix should have probably not released it all at one time. Like, go ahead if you want to do the PG cut, get the first week numbers, even the second week numbers. Oh no, write it out for a month, and then you should have dropped the director's cuts right then. We shouldn't have had to wait 9 months for the director's cut. That we'll talk more about the future of the Rebel Moon franchise because nothing's damaged by this, and I'll show you why in a moment. But you could have executed this much better, Netflix. And you even think about Warner Brothers when the Snyder Cut came out March 2021, March 18th, 2021. A week later, they dropped Justice is Gray. All right. And it all kind of counted as the same numbers, actually, like in streaming. There's a whole formula analytics with that. So you're just adding on to your viewership. I say you should have did Rebel Moon Part 1, let that run for a month, then drop the director's cut to Part 1 after like 3 or 4 weeks. Let that gestate. April, PG Part 2 comes out. Then again, you get 3 or 4 weeks of numbers, drop the director's cut of that. Just in my opinion, that probably would have worked better. Probably would have worked better, in my opinion. Let's see. JT in the chat was good. Is a Rebel Moon is everything. Carlos says, I think the best move would have been to drop PG-13 in theaters. Oh, now that's interesting. And the thing is, the Netflix business model, they don't want to spend too much time in theaters. That's just how they're set up. They have their own theaters, Egyptian theaters, and I think another one as well. But as far as like overall, they don't want to spend too much time in theaters, but that is what it is. But yeah, I would have liked the approach. Like I said, we got with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Have the regular version out there. Like I said, that was for 1 week. They did a month, and we would have pumped those numbers up for a month and then dropped the director's cut. Like, what are we waiting? Why would we wait till? Now, it could be Zach didn't have a chance to finish, getting things tied up in post. That could be part of it. But when they do Rebel Moon Part 3, and when they do 3, they're going to do 4. They're going to, film back to back. Let's have a better release strategy. Is my advice for Netflix. Let's see. Wolverine says not fond of the 3-hour plus. Found the director's cut flow much better. Oh, it didn't feel like 3 hours. That's the thing when Zach does these, full versions of his films. Like Snyder Cut still does not feel like 4 hours to me. I'm never like, like wondering like, oh man, where's the time going? I never would, with those. And so even with Rebel Moon, I was up 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time watching this film, and I didn't even think of looking at the clock because, like you said, it flows. Film flows. Let's see. What JT says here, didn't shoot Rebel Moon for theaters. He's happy with the streaming. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. He has some recent comments we're going to touch on for sure. Chris has just dropped the rated R version as intended. But again, I get the game of it. Netflix was like, I mean, we've all seen the director's cuts, right? So it definitely wasn't for kids, right? I don't want my kids watching that. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot in the director's cut, like from the beginning. So I get you want that reach of this world. It's just that, you know, waiting 9 months, that wasn't a move. I think everyone can agree. I think everyone can agree with that. That wasn't a move. And hopefully, I'm sure they learned from this. And I guess if there's anything, because again, Netflix is in the Zack Snyder business. Like nothing's changed with that. Like, you know, they're not like the anti say, oh, Zack is done. Netflix doesn't like him now. No, I don't think that's the case. But it could be. They could be like, well, let's recalibrate how we put this, you know, this 2 version thing. You know, Zack, go ahead and do that Planet of the Dead, you know, Army of the Dead. Do that first, and then we'll come back to Rebel Moon. Like, that's like the worst case scenario. But I think most people that saw these director's cuts, they're ready for part 3. They're ready for part 3 of this. Those who's not being obnoxious out there about it. So interesting. Let's see what Carlos say here. Yeah, just like Snyder Cut. It's like Snyder Cut. And Wolverine saying everything has to be 4 quadrant, but no, Netflix is at the end of the day, it's about viewership. That's for ad revenue. You want your biggest reach as possible. And like I said, these director's cuts, these are not family films. The PG cuts, yeah, they were, anyone could watch those, right? So I understand the business of it. It's just the execution is what I take notice of with Netflix. Now let's look at the numbers because people may have noticed. You remember when part 1 came out and part 2, those first couple weeks, we was talking about top 10 and things like that, and they run to an interesting situation here with Rebel Moon. We always go to Flix Patrol here. They do a good job tracking streaming numbers. Now, I believe yesterday, the director's cut part 2 was, I think, at number 5 yesterday, I believe. I didn't get a screenshot of that, but right now, according to them, now, again, the metrics they use is not simply like minutes or hours. This is the Flix Patrol website. It's basically you get like 10 points per country. You're number 1 in the world, and then second place gets 9 points. Third place gets 8 points. You know, and so on, right? So Rebel Moon, what happened with this franchise? A lot of people started watching the PG cuts when the director's cuts dropped. So we're going to get like a cumulative number a couple weeks from now about of the 4 films. That's what people are like forgetting, that this isn't just some kind of single release. People are watching 4 different versions or 4 different, 4 different versions of the story. And so while you're watching one, you can't watch the other, and they dropped them both at the same time. That's why I said the release strategy, it probably wasn't the best for the headlines for Netflix. That's why I say you should have did part 1 in December, then in January, drop the director's cut of part 1. PG part 2 in April, and in May, drop the director's cut of part 2. And you could have got a good cumulative score overall. At the end of the day, it's all views, it's all engagement. But it was like I said, the first night I watched part 1, then I had to get some sleep and then watch part 2 later. So, my numbers are kind of, skewed between a couple of days. So, again, this is just more of, are you going to, you just want to win the headlines, because again, the cumulative views is what's going to matter, and we know this film is getting it. We know this film is getting it. Let's see. JT says, let's just throw it up here. Netflix is crazy invested. Oh yeah, yeah. They got the Sinestro, right? Which I'm gonna touch. It'll probably be another stream this week. I'm gonna touch on that for sure. And they're already developing part 3, so it's like this isn't like, oh, you know, this failed, or it's like, no, he dropped 2 director's cuts in the same night. And the people was going back watching the original. And then they had to come to the director's cut. And so you're going to see a stream of views for several months with that. And Ghostman, as you're saying in the chat, they should have disabled PG. No, it's okay, because that still counts as views towards that franchise. So, and that's why I said this past January, this franchise was guaranteed to be the most successful franchise they had on Netflix. Why? Because off of one budget, 166 million, you got 4 different drops. So that's what people got to remember. It's not just about one cut doing, you know, extreme numbers. All of this is servicing the one budget of 166 million. So you get 4 bites at the apple for that. It just, again, my only criticism, if I have any, is the way they released them, spacing out too far. JT says here, does Netflix count the numbers for PG? So yeah, so when I had my friends with Osama TV, when the Snyder Cut dropped, JT, and they came on here and they said they counted the regular version of the Snyder Cut the same views as the Justice is Gray. Now, that's what they said. Now we're here with Rebel Moon. You do have, again, is an extended version and things like that. Again, all under the same budget. So I believe it's all accumulative. All these views are going to count for one big bucket of views for that one budget of 166 million. And hopefully that makes sense the way I said that. But interesting. Let's see. Getting these messages. So, what's up? Hey, I said Netflix. Just constructive criticism, Netflix. That's all. Just constructive criticism. We don't want to smoke, Netflix. But outside of that, like I said, I think all this is going to kind of clear up in a few weeks here as far as overall viewership for it. And it's a win overall. It's just, you want to win the headline. That's why I talk about winning the headlines. You want to drop these strategically to make itself, you know, look better. Never said the right idea, dropping off 4, just a matter of execution. Yeah. I think part 3 and 4, nothing to it. Be nothing to it. So now I'm yet to do a full review on these director's cuts. It's going to take me a while to kind of go through, because I want to compare the PG and the R cuts. And so that'll be a future video, probably a series of videos on this, right? But just a few standouts. If we're going to talk about, let's just kind of briefly talk about part 1. This little guy. I mean, they got the party started pretty quick with the director's cut of part 1. It's very interesting that Zack had an entire sequence that just didn't exist in the PG cuts. Definitely legendary. You have the backstory with Eris and his family. Like I said, this entire opening sequence is pretty insane. And again, this is something we shouldn't have had to wait 9 months to see. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm gonna do a full review in the future, but I'm just saying brief standouts. The intercut of the Jimmy dialogue. It helped the pacing of part one much, much better. People felt like part one, the PG cut, was a little jarring. But these, intersplice with Jimmy and his dialogue, and he talked about the Sinestro backstories, and it was kind of a spiritual journey for Jimmy. It actually helped those moments where you're cutting away from Cora and Gunnar recruiting people, with Kai. It was a nice balance to the film with that. And so that was definitely stand out for me. And the action, it really hated me to, when I watched the PG cuts, we knew what was missing. The action was tampered down. They was cutting away too much from stuff. And it just, that's the only thing, like if I want to really harp on something about the PG cuts, is that you made Zack Snyder's action seem lesser than what it really is. And that I wasn't comfortable with that aspect. But the director's cut, man, every fight scene is literally better. Every single, I thought in the PG cut, the final fight with Cora and the Atticus Noble, I was like, yeah, okay, it was all right. But then the director's cut, it was more visceral. It was like more, it was just more. And I was like, I like this fight now. I mean, if y'all watched my watch party, I was like, yeah, so as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is a better fight. Obviously, the barn house scene when she breaks everybody down, headshots for days. It just overall a better film. And some people, and it's probably mostly antis, saying, oh, it's just gory for goriness sakes. No. This is a graphic novel. That's what this film is. That's what these director's cuts are. They are a graphic novel brought to life. So yeah, you're going to have these big blood splashes. You're going to have obviously the slow motion because, it's for the cinematography of it. So yeah, this film overall, much better experience. And like I said, we shouldn't have had to wait this long, for that, for sure. So interesting stuff. Let's see. Yeah, collecting the teeth is a whole story with that. And I said we'll get more in depth for sure in the future with that, because it's a lot to digest, a lot to compare. I'm gonna be doing a series of videos on that. At times we'll probably have guests as well, and it'll show up on some of my platforms. Let's get to this article because Zach really dropped a lot on us. Let's go here. Dropped a lot the other day. Hollywood Handle has some exclusive stuff. And normally with these articles, we'll touch on some of Zack Snyder's quotes. And I kind of tell you what I'm hearing in conjunction with that as well. Let's see. Kurt Bishop said, so we getting Rebel Moon 3 and 4, or they're developing part 3. And we'll talk about that more in this article. I was told when he gets 3, he's getting 4. So he's going to film it back to back. So interesting. All right, let's go down here. Zack Snyder talks favorite movie of the year, thoughts on new Superman suit, and what's to come in his career. So we're looking at the future. We're looking at the future here. I'm going to pick out a few interesting questions. The whole article is a pretty good read, though, overall. Let me see. Okay, a little background. All right, so the first thing, it said, how do you approach character-defining moments like Superman destroying the world engine, Faith, Alfred Faith, Jimmy joining the fight in Rebel Moon, which was like a Superman moment, right? They're asking Zach, like, how do you know? you know, all these films, Zack has those moments where just someone defies the odds, or you know, there's again character defining moments. Zack says, always a fan of when a character is underestimated or faces that challenge where they become sort of the underdog moment, where you as a viewer kind of know your guy can do it, but you get that wish fulfillment of having him be underestimated by everybody else first. I think that's is always super satisfying when your character then reaches that sort of pinnacle or potential that you know they have. And I think that's always a fantastic feeling. Zack Snyder really masters those moments. And we talked about one with this little guy here, because the whole time he was like all caged up, right? And you're like, oh, like, you know, they gotta protect this little thing. But now he was the most lethal person in the opening. That's that character defining moment that Zack Snyder is talking about. And he implants this in all his films, which is pretty cool overall. Let's see. All right, this is the question about the streaming. He made these Rebel Moon films with streaming in mind, not really theaters, which is interesting. And they asked him to compare that to BVS. Zack said, with BVS, obviously was going to be presented in the most intense theatrical sort of presentation, and being a combination of anamorphic and IMAX, jumping between aspect ratios, and so forth with that, right? As far as Rebel Moon, he said he wanted this film to be a big anamorphic movie, meaning you have the blurry lens feel, because Zack is trying to. It's a movie making technique that Zack, you know, and I think Dani V does that as well. I think Todd Phillips does it as well. It's a group of guys that they do that, where they kind of blur out the background. They want you to focus on what's in front of you. Then at times they'll clear up the background for you. Zack said that was his approach overall with Rebel Moon, to have that anamorphic feel. Little alien was a G for sure. So interesting. I think the film looked good. I think he really made it for the medium, and then it plays well on the big screen, right? Now they say going forward with Rebel Moon, we got the Nemesis Comics spinoff in the works. So that's another comic. If you've been reading the House of the Blood Axe, I still got to get the last couple of issues of that. You got a Nemesis comic, her background, more of the fights that she was in before Rebel Moon. You got the ongoing podcast of the Sinestral, and I'm going to bring that out on my next stream. Next time we pop in here this week for State of the Fandom, we're going to talk about Sinestral as well. It says here Chapter 3 is in development. Also, a Cali animated movie. How is the animated Cali-based movie coming along? Could we expect that this year in winter maybe, or is it more of a 2025 release? So they said a lot right there in this question. The Nemesis, the comic book spinoffs, podcast, part 3 is in development, and the Cali animated movie. So that's a mouthful. Zack says, I think probably more 2025 for the Cali animated project. That's one thing in part 2, though we see, obviously we see more of the Cali creature. Without reading the novel, I still don't really know what's going on with them, right? So maybe I should read the novel. Maybe that's what it's telling me. But that project says animated 2025. Zack says they're in prep right now, doing a lot of creative meetings with animations teams for that. There's really a lot of beautiful artwork and stuff that's being generated right now. At the end of this summer, supposed to do put the creative stuff together, see how they're doing. So 2025, yet another part of this franchise is going to be made available. And I'm pretty sure after Twilight of the Gods comes out, was that next month? That's probably going to speed up the process for Callie's project. Yeah, Twilight of the Gods come out September 19th. So plenty of content on the way. JG says, like, this is a full universe. We're getting 15 years worth of projects in 3 years. Just well, yeah, as I mentioned, you know, the 6 year is supposed to be like a 6-year plan. Zach pretty much has content, you know, to last, until like the next decade here with that. So that's interesting. Oh, Zach also mentioned the mobile Rebel Moon game, saying it is incredible. He's very excited. It's releasing soon. There's the mobile game, but then also Zach does have plans for like a larger platform game as well, and for a larger platform to have kind of like after the end of these stories, after these films, he wants a game where you kind of just explore all the worlds that you just went through. It's a pretty long-term type of thing that Zack Snyder's doing with the Rebel Moon game. But first is the mobile game. That's what they're going to do. So next point here says, we know Turkey Al-Sheikh wants you to do a UFC movie. Is that something that's in development? You know, we know Turkey Al-Sheikh, he's the Saudi person of power in the area. They got heavily involved with fight promotions. UFC, I think, has a deal with one of the companies there. So, and they're huge Zack Snyder fan worldwide, right? And they made it very clear that they would love for Zack Snyder to do a UFC film. Zack confirms his interest here, saying it's definitely something he's very interested in pursuing. Could be a great opportunity, a great canvas to work with. That could be great. That could be really cool. So he's very interested in the possibility. But he says that's not that small movie idea. You know, because we've been hearing the recent reports that Zack wants to kind of, you know, not do a heavy CGI thing next time or nothing with heavy effects. Probably more practical, character-driven story. He says that the UFC film, that will still be kind of like big action with that. So that's interesting. Says here, which will be his next film, though details aren't known what that is yet for that small film. So, as I said a couple months ago, it was very interesting. When I started SnyderVerse Mondays, I did the stint of Mondays. My Mondays are so unstable now, I couldn't keep the Monday show, but regular. But that first SnyderVerse Mondays I talked about the comic book idea was still alive. That's been confirmed with this. That Zack definitely wants to do DC again, will do DC. He'll continue to talk about DC. And then also in that same stream, I talked about the small movie idea. Now, at that time, some people reached out to me just with knowledge of the situation, and they were definitely leaning towards A24 to be the film studio. Again, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. And possibly that story, Black Kiss, I believe is the name of it, is basically a film about vampires and sex and everything, violence. But it's a grounded story. Like, you don't need crazy special effects. Like, he probably could do that story fully practical, and he'll do his own version of it. But we'll see. I'm leaning more towards the A24 idea for a character-driven story. And let's see. And Zach said he's not doing Black Kiss. Hey, well, we'll see. right? Like Smash Machine, yeah, like a character-driven type thing. Blackest definitely can be a character-driven story. There's also another story. Shout out to SnyderCut BR. They mentioned a story around the same time I was talking about Black Kiss, but definitely A24 seems to be the film studio, but we'll see. We will definitely see with that, and it's not going to be the UFC film. So there you go with that. Warner Brothers. Now, yeah, I guess anyone that has a reaction to hearing Warner Brothers, this is maybe this part. You want to take a deep breath, all right? It says you and Warner Brothers are reteaming for 300. That's amazing. People was like trying to deny that story. Like even like Snyder fans, some Snyder fans. I'm like, why wouldn't we want more 300? Like, what is wrong? What is wrong with that? I don't know. But apparently, apparently, apparently that just wasn't. I see TJ mad on Facebook about Warner Brothers. Apparently, everybody doesn't want this. I don't know. But it says there's been a lot of people, including the journalists here, are really surprised by that. Oh man, almost choked off TJ sending me those emojis through Facebook. 300 ain't DC. But yeah, I'm if it's about here for Zach, I think it's kind of obvious, my approach to him talking about this. See, JT 300 is one universal love Snyder film for sure. But a lot of people thought this day would never happen. They asked Zach, did they approach you or did you approach them? Zach says, we've been talking about doing this 300 show. And the great news is that because Warner Brothers was our studio that we did the movie with, they're the first people that we would approach in regard to making the series. And they were just receptive about it or into it. That's DeLuca and Abdi. That's what that was. That's DeLuca. That's they're the new heads of Warner Brothers. Yes, did he push the reset button on DC? Yeah, Zazev did. I've covered this extensively on my channel. So to react like certain events didn't happen, like I don't get it. At Full Circle, Zach and Debbie praised DeLuca and Abdi multiple times on and off camera. So he's good. He's good with this current regime of Warner Brothers. As far as the DC stuff, yeah, I mean, that remains to be seen. But I did hear they did talk about DC. We know the comic book idea. We'll talk about that in a moment as well. I don't think this is just it, but I will take this 300 series happily with that. Like, I don't know how that's a problem with that. But it says Warner Bros. Was receptive. It's been really nice and organic. Zack Snyder says, I love Warner Brothers, TJ. Oh, man. Man, the truth's coming out today. Truth's coming out today. He says he loves Warner Brothers. Is Zach portraying Zach? Is this what's going on right now? I'm trying to understand. I don't know, like, how these rules change, with all this information that comes out. Interestingly, let's see. Omar says, regimes changed, but would they try to micromanage him again? I mean, I would say no. I would say no. That as far as what they micromanage, like who micromanaged Zack before? Former regime, right? If these are new people and Zack's saying, hey, he's rocking with him, I'm gonna take Zack for his word. And I'm gonna trust that Zack understands his history with the company as well, right? So obviously, when we talk about DC and Zack Snyder, we're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2. Can it happen with Warner Brothers? Will there have to be third party? All that does remain to be seen. Could he also do some kind of Elseworlds under Warner Brothers? I think, Zack has made it very clear he wants to do Dark Knight Returns. So, and Ben Affleck wants to do Dark Knight Returns. I know people say, well, actually, Zack said he would use new actors. Things change all the time, y'all. Zack wants to do Dark Knight Returns. Ben wants to do Dark Knight Returns. I'll take it. We gotta just go off what the information is saying, man. We all these feelings and saying what we want. Yeah, we want to push for what we want. But Zack's telling you right now he has a pretty good relationship with Warner Brothers. They are the owners of DC. I have a really good feeling about this. Just saying. Sickness says Zack saying he loves Warner Brothers. Zack betrays Zack. And he threw a Netflix right. I'm just saying. There's a lot of feelings. But so Ty, basically I'm going through the article, Ty. So like if it's coming up, I'm gonna touch on it, man. So but Zack says here. Let's jump down to what Dave said. I'll take ZSJL 2 and 3 from WB, Netflix, whoever. I'll take that from Amazon, from Tubi, straight to Blu-ray, whatever. Streaming on Max. It's going to be an event no matter where it's at. We just got to look at the fact. Zack is saying very clear he has a good relationship with Warner Brothers right now. I know that hurts some narratives out there. It hurts feelings. It is what it is. I got a good feeling about that. What do you say? It's really nice. Oh, yeah. He says, I spent 10 years there with Warner Brothers, so I have great affection for the place. It could be cool. So, because someone was saying in the chat about Sucker Punch, if Zack's saying he got a good relationship with Warner Brothers, and Zack said that he would love to finish Sucker Punch, though there's not an update at this minute, don't you feel a little better about the prospects of getting Sucker Punch completed one day? I'm just saying, the paragraph right there in front of us. I'm just saying, like, how could I feel bad about this situation right now? Now, again, everyone bringing up the past and stuff, like, yeah, I was right here with the stuff in the past as well. They were, I said Ben was coming back, Cavill was coming back. One last ride. Zack Snyder will be involved with that last ride. So I'm very aware of what occurred before this point. We're talking about now. And that's what I focus. Any information I do is not about going back to 2016, 2017, or 18. It's like that's not what this is about. Sujahara, Hamada, Emmerich, Cernoff, John, all gone. Now, again, I get it. We had indications that, he's good with Warner Brothers right now. And, we got the Deadpool Wolverine talking about the shit fucks. Like, I get it. I get it. That's hilarious. But this indignation, like we're being angry for Zack, like I said, I think Zack and his team realize what they're in. And for him to say this publicly, I am surprised Zack said it like this. For Zack portraying this, Justice Zack, right? Justice Zack. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. I'm the type, I ain't gonna be sitting here worrying about stuff that's like clear to me. You know, he's saying he have a good relationship. Carlos says, "Heck yeah, open the door so we can celebrate, get more in the future. We want Zack content. We not picky. Hey, it's how we can get it, man. You know, if he does the A24 film, you know, that's gonna, I don't know, end up somewhere else, or hey, that is what it is." Says that when asked about the sucker punch, we talk about the true director's cut. Zack unfortunately had no update or news to share right now, but he said he would love to do it. And he's been saying that, and he happens to be having a good relationship with those who can make that happen. So, yeah, we won't do all that worrying every stream and conjuring up feelings of 6 years ago. That's not what these streams are going to be, unless there's something to be angry about right now. So that's what we're gonna do. There's a few questions they hit Zack with, and it's gonna give us a few other cool pointers here. They asked him his favorite scene to shoot in Rebel Moon. He says Korra fighting the guys in the barn, killing all the Imperial guys in the barn. That felt old school fighting and shooting. Shot to shot, really telling that story was really fun. Can't wait for you to see the R-rated version of it. Of course, we've seen it now. Headshots for days. Headshot for days. Again, just that scene was already cool, but you knew it was tampered down a bit, overall. But seeing the director's cuts, much better. Let's see, Carlos. I may get rocks thrown at me, but I see Zack coming back with Cavill or Kingdom Come. Oh, yeah, Carlos, that's gonna break some people's minds if that happens. I don't even want to, bro. That's gonna break brains if that happens. Just saying. I mean, some of these brains are already broken, but anyway. Comic book tie-in you're possibly going to do with Scott Snyder for Justice League. Are you able to say anything about what that was about? It says here, I mean, the truth is we're just talking about, like, wouldn't it be cool to do something? And Scott Snyder talked about this a couple of years ago, actually, too. And people got to remember, DC Comics, the editor-in-chief is Jim Lee, who is friends with Zack as well. So they've definitely been working on different ideas, concepts for it. But again, it's supposed to be a Justice League-related comic. So Scott's just been a great inspiration for us in the movies. I think he's a really great artist. Truth is, I've been so busy on Rebel Moon, haven't really had a chance to. So this did have people thinking, like, okay, what is this comic? Is this taking the place of something? I think that's the fear, because people automatically go to fear anytime we hear anything. But this project, I think a few months ago, was speculating, could it be the Robin story? Could it be something else on top of that? Not replacing the film. And no, as far as what I heard with the Scott Snyder, it was basically, after the end of the Snyder Cut, the team is together and they have their, their own adventures or something. This may not be the best comparison, but think of like in the beginning of the Flash film, where you got Ben Affleck trying to, call the team to help with different things. The comic is going to be something like that. Now, again, Andy Muschietti, the Flash, they didn't like take the full idea. It just, that's how the comic, if they ever do it, it's gonna be set before the dark side, before the nightmare and all that stuff. Is the team is gonna be together. You don't see the team working together, and there's gonna be Zack Snyder's versions of the Justice League. So I really hope they get that comic out. We know it's not gonna be the Robin thing. The Robin is going to, that story is going to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League 2, Part 2. The Last Supper scene where the Joker, everyone kind of, like in Rebel Moon, how they're kind of sitting around telling their stories. That's going to happen in Justice League Part 2. And, Joker's going to talk about how he took out Robin. So that's going to be kind of a weird, creepy thing there, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Got Dave here. Zaza said he has a plan B if DCU fails. But if DCU is successful, maybe they will feel okay with doing ZSJL 2 and 3, Elseworlds, as it wouldn't overshadow DCU thoughts. So, the plan B thing, I know that's a few people kind of attached to that. Zaza's kind of just spitballing, to be quite honest with you, but they desperately need the Superman film to be somewhat respectful. But I know what you're asking about is, what about if the DCU is successful, would they actually help Elseworlds? And that's one thing I was saying on the offset with Gunn that I think is getting lost in a lot of conversations, is that Gunn is open to Elseworlds. Like he's not going to fight Zaza if they want to do more Elseworlds stuff. You just got the Cape Crusader on Amazon. That's Elseworlds, and I'm enjoying it. I'm covering this on my second channel, the Clips channel. And I still got half the season to put up there, probably tomorrow, but I'm enjoying that. And the point is that's under the DC banner. It's just third party on Amazon. Gunn, I was told repeatedly, he really likes the Reeves-Patterson approach because it's going to be so different from the DCU and the fantastical nature of the DCU. So he loves this whole crime saga crap, whatever Reeves calls it. And I'm looking forward to, if Reeves brings that Cape Crusader flavor, the animated flavor to Patterson, I'll give Patterson a chance with that. But my point, Dave, is Gunn is actually open to Elseworlds. I believe, like we've been saying with the AyerCut, I think there's obviously a lane for it. I think that's why Ayer is back active again. It's just, Gunn wants to shine first. And like I said, feel how you feel about that. And then we could do his Elseworld stuff. I mean, I know Reeves, I guess, was not done with the script, but they really kicked the can down the road with this Reeves Batman film. Not that they want to cancel it. Gunn wants Superman out first. He wants Supergirl out first. And then you could do the other stuff. If Gunn could have helped it, he would have helped Joker too and pushed that back. But it was already pretty much done with filming before he even started Superman. So that's just how Gunn sees it. I feel, though, like I said, there's a definite lane for the AyerCut. And I really do believe seeing Ayer revigorated when he seemed defeated months ago, I think this trending event yesterday mattered. It was good that the fandom, was united with some of those accounts that's really, active daily with that. And the numbers look good for that. And I think I believe we're getting the AyerCut. And like I said, for months now, I believe Zach's going to do DC again for sure. So just a matter of when and where. So hopefully I kind of answered that question, Dave. Yeah, Gunn. So just basically any Elseworld stuff, it has to look different from his DCU. It has to be different. and you got that example of Cape Crusader where they gender bend some stuff, they do some. It's a different feel, and actually, I don't mind it. Right? I don't mind that. So as long as, and we know Zack's going to be different. Like Zack's DC is different from Gunn DC. We're going to see that for Superman film. Superman film is going to be full of colors. It's going to have action. It's definitely going to, Gunn can do action, but think of like Guardians, action and colors and things like that. Still not sure the sense of humor part. I just got in contact with some people that was aware of some of the shoots for the Superman film and Peacemaker season 2 as well. But once I talked to them, the main thing I want to get from them is the tone. What were you, in the know of? What did you hear about the tone? That's going to determine a lot for Gunn Superman to me personally. But Zack Snyder's DC is different enough where Gunn just wants to shine first, and then I think there'll be a lane for the Elseworlds for sure. Let's see. With the Muschietti cut. Let's see. Amar says, cautiously optimistic. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I can't wait to talk to this person. I just got in touch with him a couple of days ago, and like I said, they checked out pretty well with people that I already know, and they got some information about stuff, things in the know of the Superman set. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to hearing, like, was it, what kind of humor we're gonna get. So that's gonna make or break the film for me, just me personally with James Gunn Superman. So but as far as with the Justice League comic book, Scott Snyder is still a possibility, right? Cool question here says, Zach, what's your favorite scene of your entire filmography? Interesting answer here from Zach. It's one of his favorite sequences is the birth, Dr. Manhattan. Probably his favorite sequences, the most favorite sequence he's ever done or seen. This is from the graphic novel here. The Alan Moore comic. And of course, we know how Zach brought that to life on the big screen. The film ahead of its time. The Watchmen. Let's see here. Yeah, Ty, I wouldn't worry too much. Like it's too much worrying. I wouldn't let Ayer be your guide. If Ayer is riding high, let's be happy for Ayer, man. We got 2 director's cuts of Rebel Moon out right now. We know they're developing more. Zach has a good relationship with Warner Brothers right now. They own DC. I'm feeling pretty good about everything right now. Not worrying about everything, That's just me personally. I mean, life is good. So I don't, people got different approaches, but I'm not here to worry about every corner, man. I'm going to go off of the information that's there overall. So let's see here. This is interesting. This next question. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show from this year so far? Zach names an A24 movie. Oh my goodness. Love Lies Bleeding. I haven't seen that film. Zach says, really love that. Thought it was great. It happens to be A24. And as I mentioned a few months ago, some people did get in touch with me that said, hey, that there's definitely been some communication. Stone Quarry and A24, so we'll see. We will see. Let's see. Now he talks about the Superman suit. Zach has like the exact response that I had with the suit. Like, this is what I've been saying the entire time. Have you seen the new Superman suit? There's a lot of people comparing it to Henry Cavill's. A lot of people wanting to know your thoughts. Do you really have anything to say about it? And Zach says, hey, I'll say this, right? Let's see it in the movie. That's all I've been saying. Let's just see how it looks. You know, it's gonna probably be some movie magic or something. You know, because that wrinkle look never works for me. But Zach says, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. Because Zach's a DC fan. You know, and then plus, on top of that, he's good with Warner Brothers right now. So I got good positive feelings about all this. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. Now this is dope here. We got a few more we're going to hit on because I'm going through the article. We'll talk about other topics after I'm done with the article. So it says Planet of the Dead. The first one, Army of the Dead, was mixed like a heist genre with zombies. Do you have in mind what the second movie would mix a genre with? And Zach jumps in there. It says like a quest film, a journey to another world movie. It's kind of like Planet of the Apes. Interesting. Rumor has a Superman will give attention to some gay characters. I haven't really heard of any messaging so far. Maybe when I talked to this contact, they're supposed to give me an idea of the tone, but I haven't heard anything with that, man. Again, I don't even know where that rumor came from, to be quite honest with you. Now there was TJ exposed. I'm not a DC fan with guns around. Stay angry, right? Always stay angry. Like Zach chilling, but you stay angry. So Planet of the Dead, it's gonna be like Planet of the Apes. And they didn't even like register to me, you know, obviously until Zach said it. But that's the whole Planet of the Dead, Planet of the Apes. That's interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what that's gonna be as a whole different feel of a film, Planet of the Dead. So excited for that. Zach goes on to talk about how proud he is with the director's cuts. We understand the transaction he had to do for this. They wanted the PG cut, or as he says here, PG-13 was what allowed the R-rated movie to exist. So Zach says, for that reason, I love them. But when you see the R-rated versions of the movie, you're going to really understand this true heavy metal magazine thing come to life. I mean, there's no other way to put it. With this, it's the director's cuts are a whole nother level overall. So interesting stuff with Zach. Again, we learned about a few projects. Again, the A24 angle, we'll see if that really pays off with that. I think that'd be really cool to see Zach do that. Army of the Dead, Rebel Moon, Cali Project. He's good with Warner Brothers, 300. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff to look forward to with Zack Snyder, and you know, not in worry mode every time. Let's celebrate what Zach is doing. I think he's gonna eventually do the stuff that we want as well. Any last minute comments or questions, throw it on in the chat as we zone this out. Overall, State of the Fandom is about the Zack Snyder fandom. Definitely was cool to see the AyerCut event. And you know, the trading event, and Ayer is invigorated. and things like that. So, like I said, I think it's a good. I think it's a good time for the fandom. We got these crazy director's cuts. I can't wait to break this down because I was going to do with the PG cuts, but then I was like, well, director's cut, maybe it's best to wait. And then now, man, I got so many ideas. It's going to be some cool pop-up videos for y'all with that. So, oh, TJ's happy about playing the dead. Okay, all right. All right. What if Gunn's in it? Let's see here. Authority has a gay couple, Midnight or Apollo, old DC characters. Yeah, that's like been a thing for the longest. Maybe I missed. As far as the rumor, I guess Dave, definitely any rumor, it'd be good to know the source of it. That's probably the one thing. You know, I'm not even sure where that's coming from, to be quite honest. So, let's see here. But yeah, so okay, so the question, just to kind of answer what you're saying, Dave, like, is Gunn going to try to force, messaging? I think that's what you're talking about, because I mean, just having a character that's gay in a film, or a trans character, that doesn't. I don't think it just makes something woke. If you are like tripping all over the story just to show someone has this lifestyle, it's like, what it's about the story. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Gunn is not here for politics. There's a lot of pressure on him with Warner Bros. Discovery to make a Superman film with a less controversy as possible. Like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't heard of any rumors with that, but I don't see that being a problem. Keep in mind too, Gunn is pretty cool with Feige. I got a pretty awesome video coming out probably next week, talk about how Feige is kind of clearing out the activism of Marvel. I got a pretty good source with that. I can't wait for y'all to see that next week. But Gunn and Feige, they share notes and stuff. So you're going to see Gunn, for better or for worse, he's going to kind of mimic Feige in some ways, in his own way. That's how he's approaching this reboot. This is exactly what Feige's going to do in a bigger scale after Secret Wars. Keep who you want, get rid of who who's done. That's what Feige's going to do. That's what Gunn did. So, let's see. Let's catch up. Last minute comments and questions. Yeah, how do you put the story? Exactly, Dave. Yeah. So we agree on that. We agree on that. Just, again, the rumor, Dave, maybe like next time, kind of just cite where you're hearing it from. Maybe I can have a better idea of what you mean with that. Let's see. Yeah, I see you, TJ. Yeah, but just where the rumor came from, Dave. That's what I mean. I mean, there's rumors on Twitter all the time. I don't know where it comes from. Yeah. But so as we wrap this up, as I mentioned, let's see, we got the Wednesday crew tomorrow. We'll probably be talking more about the success of Deadpool Wolverine, any latest. In fact, what stories do I have queued up for tomorrow? It's been a busy week just coming out back from San Diego. So let's see what we got here. I think all I got is Deadpool Wolverine, over 800 million after a full week, his first full week. So that's interesting. Probably some Daredevil tidbits we'll talk about. Just off the top of my head, that's all I'm kind of thinking of right now. So we'll see with the Wednesday crew. Also, Weekly with Retro. We're going to record that tomorrow and try to get that out as soon as possible. I have a new series on my channel where I'm discussing comic book references used in films, and some weeks we'll be talking straight comics. Really looking forward to that. The first one I already got it recorded, but it's talking about the comic references for RDJ or Tony Stark Doom, that whole combination. So I had a really great conversation with a new contributor to the channel. So more to come with that and more comic book talk for sure. We're covering all quadrants. I say I get back with Keith Moncrief about business. The business, we got to talk about Warner Brothers. They're pump faking, like they think they should split up, and then now they're scared to split up the company. What is going on with Warner Brothers? Because nobody wants to buy them right now as is. And they may not be able to divest everything as fast as they thought. So Warner Brothers is in a weird situation. So plenty of content coming to the channel. Appreciate everyone supporting the interview series with Paul of Heavy Spoilers. That was pretty fun as well. Plenty to come there. Like I said, second channel, the sylabdul clips, link in the description. I'm doing my Cape Crusader reviews over there. I got to wrap up the season. That'll be this week. And any of TJ's favorite DC co-head of DC Studios, all my gun videos are over there. So no, you couldn't wait. Taladia said they DM'd you about Rocksteady. Okay. Yeah, gaming. We got to get gaming back with Taladia over here. Like I said, just, with the past week being out of town, we're getting back, what I'm saying, how we do. So very cool stuff, man. Like I said, I'm really excited, and I just have a good feeling about all this stuff, y'all. I mean, I don't know how we operating, just being upset every day, man. Like Zach says he loves Warner Brothers. TJ got mad. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. We still TJ going off on Facebook, y'all. But appreciate y'all for sure. Much love to Silk Nation. I said more to come. Till next time. Gigasi 2.0. You already know.
There's no need to regulate. Free speech is always the better way. The truth will never discriminate. Free thinking has been to solve a better place. Better place where we cannot conversate. I mean, converse. Don't make this shit worse. Just try to appreciate. After this verse, so take us to church. Let knowledge disperse. Ideas then culminate. Turn into action. Speak words with reason and passion. Honestly spoken, no need for retraction. Keep on demanding your full satisfaction. We made it happen, though we collapsed and broken in fractions. All of these factions overreact and broken in fractions. If I played a part, then I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.